Welcome, everyone. For you of those that don't know me, my name's Jeff, aka Mad Hatter Organics, and this is the Growers Exchange podcast. I wanted to start this podcast to get more information out there about different growers, breeders, and industry companies. So stick with us as we exchange all types of grower knowledge. First off, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Autopot USA, for the best plant-driven automated watering system out there. Use discount code MADHATTER10 on autopot-usa.com for 10% off your entire order. And Intralite, for the last stop shop for IPM. Want the easiest way to get rid of those bugs and pathogens? Just plug in a single Intra ring light into your tent and set it on a timer. These lights will take care of business. Use discount code MADHATTER5 for 5% off your entire order over at intralite.co. Now, let's get started with the conversation. Welcome, everyone, to the 7th episode of the Growers Exchange podcast. Today, I have a super special guest, my good Green. He is a Bokashi expert, runs his own Bokashi company, and I'm super excited to talk to him about everything Bokashi. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be here. I appreciate you bringing me on.
Yeah. Yeah, so why don't we kind of start off? I've used your Bokashi for probably 2 years now. I came across it on Amazon and didn't realize it was an actual Canadian company, and I'm a fellow Canadian as well. I'm out in Alberta, and yeah, I've had nothing but awesome experience with it so far. It's done everything that I've wanted it to do. So,
That's
uh,
excellent. Awesome to hear that.
yeah, why don't you start off with kind of how you got started off? Why why
Hmm.
Bokashi?
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's definitely a good question. I've always been an avid gardener, and like to try and compost and do my part for the earth. And I didn't start in this. I was actually a stonemason for about 30 years, and um, towards the end of my career, there I was looking at something that I could do to give back to the earth and to carry on. I wasn't quite ready to just pack it in. And like I said, being an avid gardener and composter, um, I I'm sure I'm not the only one that's had a lot of issues with trying to compost on a regular traditional composting. Trying to get the greens and the browns and the right ratios and this type of thing, and getting a good product at the end of it. So I'd actually gone online looking for different composting methods and came across Bokashi. Now, to give you a kind of little idea what Bokashi was, it's was derived in 1984 by a scientist out of Japan, Ichiro Hyuga, who created these effective microorganisms. So the effective microorganisms consist of a consortium of microbes such as Saccharomyces fungi, phototropic bacteria, and more specifically probiotics, so lactic acid bacteria. And they all work in consortia to do a number of great things. One is fermenting organic waste and breaking it down and turning it into amazing compost. Uh, when we add those microbes to a bokashi, to a wheat bran, so what we got here is a good old Canadian wheat bran, and we inoculate it with the effective microorganisms, ferment it, and you're left with this shelf-stable culture mix that you can use for the bokashi composting, which is really how I started in it before, going to using it as a fertilizer type, kind of advance and from there. But the culture mix we use is, like I said, the Canadian wheat bran, effective microorganisms, and we also add certain um, minerals that are from Canada as well. So it's basically a really Canadian brand. It's called Bokashi Culture Mix. And what we found with the culture mix is it works really well for the composting, but also soil amendment. Just by adding it into the soil, what it does is it creates a strong, healthy soil food web, creating kind of like a living soil, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the microbes work really well to keep a healthy soil by outcompeting the pathogens like E. coli, Salmonella, fecal coliforms, soil coliforms, and the like. But then the enzymes from that actually work well to break down organic matter within the soil. So you're creating a healthy soil web, but you're also breaking down the organic nutrients and minerals and that are in the soil, making them more available to the plant. Okay. So, by doing that, I found that it was an amazing amendment to the soil. So what I did is I actually took it to another level and created the Bokashi Pro Grow Fermented Fertilizer, which I'm sure that you're familiar with more than anything, right?
Yeah, you've got two different products, the Plus and
Yeah.
then the Pro.
Yeah, so we created the Bokashi Plus for the composting systems and it's a soil amendment, and then we took it another step, creating a fermented fertilizer by adding just a plethora of B vitamins, more minerals, amino acids, organic whole food complex like organic certified alfalfa, kelp, organic beetroot, molasses, literally just a kitchen sink of great natural inputs, and that gets fermented down, and you're left with a shelf-stable superfood for your soil.
Oh wow. Yeah, I had no idea what the Pro was actually. I never really looked into it. I kind of just went with the Plus and just stuck with the Plus. And now that
Yeah,
you've said that, the Pro seems, I guess, a lot
right.
better.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the whole thing is the Pro Grow is short for probiotic growing. So really, what we're doing is creating that healthy environment for plants.
Yeah, makes
And
sense.
yeah,
Awesome. So how did you where did you start off with your company? Where, did you just kind of start making it in your backyard and said I can
yeah,
give this to everyone?
yeah. Okay, so where it started, like I said, it was back in the composting. So I knew I've heard of these Bokashi composting systems that you could get overseas, and I couldn't get one over here, so I made my own kind of do-it-yourself system, and basically two buckets put together, and the top bucket has some holes in it, and with a lid, you put the food waste in it, you sprinkle the culture mix on it, and compress it, and once it's full, then you take that top bucket and you mix it into the soil, into a composting system.
Hmm.
But eventually, what I ended up doing was finding a manufacturer to make the product ourselves. So this is what we've come up with, an actual Bokashi composting system. And it's all in one thing. And you see there's a little nozzle on the bottom.
Yeah.
And kind of explain that the reason why we had to have a 2-bucket system is because there's a leachate, a liquid that actually will seep down through that you want to keep separate from your food waste as it's fermenting. And that works really well as basically a liquid gold fertilizer. You mix it ratio 1 fluid ounce to a liter of water, and you can use it for your plants indoors, outdoors. It's just fantastic. It's all full of beneficial microbes and minerals and that type of thing as well, right? So
Yeah.
as far as making the culture mix ourselves, yeah, it was a matter of finding the recipe online through that Tierra Huga in Japan, really making my own, adding things to it, and making the Bokashi Plus culture mix, which is just took my own recipe, and then going from there. And yeah, we started like a lot of companies. We started in the garage and spare bedroom making the stuff, and kind of went from there. Got into, tried to find the right packaging, and really just kind of bootstrapped the whole business and got into one store and into another store and really collected on that. And really, at the start, I was looking at like home hardwares to Canada. So I got into about 25 home hardwares within 50-kilometer radius, and went from there to talk to the head office at Home Hardware, and they brought us on. So we were selling our products, the Bokashi Plus and the Culture Mix, and the compost systems through Home Hardware to start. And that kind of gave us some traction, and then we just went from there. Right?
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to start. Home hardware is always a good place to get your products on the shelf.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I've made a small YouTube video on like a Bokashi kind of the basics of it. Yeah, like I guess you can kind of make a small little homemade version of it by taking two 5 gallon buckets, drilling a hole in one, the top bucket, and letting all the leachate kind of drain to the bottom. Um,
Right.
what's so much different about yours that is more beneficial per se? Like,
Okay, then yeah, then do it yourself. Oh, for sure. Because I tried it, and what I found was with the two bucket system, naturally you're not going to get a great seal, and it is rather messy. You know, the whole idea behind bokashi is it's actually kind of Japanese for fermented organic matter. And the process that you're going through when you're fermenting your organic waste is acidic anaerobic fermentation. So you create an acidic environment. It's got to be anaerobic, so it's got to be without air. So it has to be a sealed unit.
mm,
And what we found is with this system, it creates that sealed environment and also leaches it down into where you can use the spigot at the bottom. So it creates a really good separate uh, compartments and keeps it all airtight. And it looks a lot nicer too.
yeah, yeah, no, that totally makes sense then.
Yeah,
You want to keep all the nasties out and all the beneficials in.
absolutely.
Um, now, from what I've read and what I've been searching about, you can ferment meat, and like normal composting, they say not to ferment or to compost meat products, pests, kind of bad bacteria and stuff like that. But with a bokashi system, you're able to uh, decompose meat.
Yes, exactly. So you can literally compost anything organic. Um, Things you want to avoid is obviously already rotting meat because you're it's too much for the microbes to try and fight them back when they're already in that state.
Yeah.
Oils and liquids because that kind of it overwhelms the system. But other than that, yeah, meats. I'd recommend anytime you're putting food scraps like meat, cheese, even small bones like fish bones, chicken bones, fruits, vegetables. They cut it up into smaller pieces, anything like golf ball size or smaller, to
Mm,
allow the microbes to coat it better and to break it down much easier. One thing I would like to say that the composting system that I'm showing you right here is actually like a pre-composting. So what you're doing is you're fermenting the organic waste and getting it into a point that after 7 to 10 days of fermenting, you would mix it into your soil. So you could literally take it from your kitchen out into your garden, dig down 8 to 10 inches, trenches alongside your fruits and vegetables, your gardening, and mix it all in, cover it up, and walk away from it, not have to worry about turning it, not have to worry about the smells and animals getting into it. And literally in summer temperatures, spring, summer temperatures, the food waste will break down probably within 3 to 4 weeks, about 95% breakdown. Can also be used indoors. Like the first time I did it, I actually did it through the winter. So I got myself a big tote and I had some used soil, and it's important that you mix it in with soil. So I started a batch indoors in a big tote, and it takes about 6 to 8 weeks indoors. But yeah, it works really well. And as long as you just keep it closed and let it do its thing, there's no smells.
yeah,
It's a great, there's small spaces and that. Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. That that bucket that bucket fermenter that you have, it's able to go underneath your kitchen sink. So whenever you're chopping up your veggies, fruits, whatever, you can just open the lid and shove it all in there and
Yeah,
sprinkle a handful on and
absolutely. Yeah, it's very easy to use, simple, easy to use, and stores nice. Like I said, yeah, perfect under the sink. So we
yeah.
keep our
The biggest thing is the smell, right? The normal compost has that kind of gassing smell, kind of off gassing, but this stuff,
yeah,
it's just a sealed unit, so you don't get any of that.
exactly. Yeah, and traditional composting there's a lot more work to it involved. It takes a lot of turning and things like that. And like I was saying at the beginning, to show the separating ratios of the greens and browns and this type of thing, and trying
Yeah,
to keep them out. And yeah, I tried my best with traditional composting and failed at it. So yeah, definitely something else. And I'm glad I did find it because here we are today. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm the same way. I have a pile out back in my by my alleyway kind of thing. I have In the fall and the spring, I like to collect kind of the leaf mold in the spring and the fallen leaves from the trees in the fall. I'll collect all that. I'll take my lawn clippings. I'll mix it all up. But then throughout the summer, I kind of get, kind of procrastinate a bit and kind of get lazy. Don't really turn it and just let it do its thing. So it's gonna take forever, and I'm not really, that whole thermophilic composting action is, I'm not keeping a good enough eye on it to actually, break things down. But I also
Right.
have sorry,
No, you're right. No, carry on, sir.
um
You were saying,
I also have a compost turner, like a 55-gallon barrel that I just throw food scraps and stuff in there. But I also take what I've bokashi, like composted, and I'll dump, like, say, like a liter jar of food scraps and bokashi, and I'll throw it in there as well. And that actually has been going pretty good for me.
excellent.
It's easy to turn. It's Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's what I was going to say. It's perfect because even with traditional composting, you can incorporate the bokashi composting into that. You will find that it'll actually help break everything down. When your traditional static type of a composting system, a great way to incorporate the two systems together is by when you have a bucket full of the bokashi pre-compost ready to bury, is spread it out, thinly evenly over your compost pile and add a layer of dirt over top of that as well.
Hmm.
And that'll really help to break everything down even quicker. And with a great result at the end. So
Yeah.
just a little tip. And I noticed you mentioned about your yard waste and that as well. Little tip we do. We actually have a system, a pet waste system as well. That we don't promote it a whole lot, but what it is basically, it's a bucket, 12-liter bucket, and comes with bokashi culture mix, and it's for your pet waste, for cat waste, dog waste, because it works really well to outcompete the pathogens like fecal coliforms as well, and the
Okay.
toxicity and the bad bacteria and that are in cat waste and dog waste. So what we do is when we compost that, we don't compost that and put it into the food gardens, vegetable gardens, that type of thing. What I do is I pre-compost it, then I'll mix it in with our yard waste, our leaves, our grass, or that type of anything, high lignin, that type of thing. Mix it all in together, and what you find is it really helps break down all your yard waste a lot quicker too, and with a really great finished product. Then you spread that around your yard into your flower beds, and bushes, and that type of thing. Fantastic.
Interesting. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
got two dogs myself, and we have, after the big spring thaw of snow and ice, we have a lot of waste throughout
Mm-hmm.
from the winter there. So,
Yeah, I hear you. So there you go. There's another idea. If you want to grab yourself a 5-gallon bucket with a lid, a sealed lid, you can do the same thing with that. Our buckets don't come with the nozzles for the leachate because we're not really interested in collecting
no,
leachate. Plus, you probably won't get that much of the liquid anyways with pet waste. And really, all you're trying to do there is every layer of pet waste, you just sprinkle some of the bokashi onto it, kind of shake and bake, and just layer it up until it's full. Let it ferment 7 to 10 days, and like I was saying, mix it in with your yard waste and that in a certain area of your yard.
interesting. I'll have to try that this year. We have a lot of kind of dry, patchy, urea burnt areas in our yard that could possibly help with that.
Oh, definitely, absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. Um, when was your company formed? What year was it?
Actually, I started it in 2014 when I was still a Mason, right? So obviously, didn't want to just do the jump. I had to make sure it was going to be a soft landing into the new company. So yeah, I worked jobs for probably 2 years, and then incorporated in 2016, and that's when we went full on.
Okay, awesome. So you've been around for about 10 years now.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, like I said, I picked it up about 2 years ago. Started using it then. Started noticing some good beneficial activity on the top surface of my soil. Um, maybe interacting with some of the mycorrhizae that I use. But yeah, you get that white mycelium layer on top of the soil. Uh,
Yeah. Sometimes that scares some people when they see it for the first time and they don't understand the living soils, right? It's kind
yeah,
of learning curve. They think that there's this mold, this bad mold on top. But yeah, you're right. It's the mycelium, fungal hyphae,
yeah,
right? And it's kind of reacting with the oxygen. That's why you're seeing it as it is. But just imagine that throughout your soil structure, all those the mycelium and the filaments going throughout your soil, um, breaking down the organic inputs, mobilize them within themselves, and it kind of brings it back into your rhizosphere, right? And like you say, works in coercion with your mycorrhizae and that. So
yeah, yeah. It creates that symbiotic relationship between your soil nutrients and your plants, and
absolutely, yeah,
yeah, overall beneficial. So you're saying about the leachate there, you can drain it out of your bucket system. Can you add this into like say a compost tea when you're brewing a tea?
yeah, you can actually. Um, Now we've with the teas, we actually just do it straight from the with the bokashi itself. I haven't really done a lot of testing on with the leachate itself and making it into a tea, just because I use the bokashi itself. But yeah, definitely there should be no. I wouldn't be able to tell you what the ratios are
Okay.
not at this point, but like I said, one shot glass and so yeah, 1 ounce to let's say 1 gallon of water. You can aerate that for 24 to 48 hours if you like, or you can let it sit. That's the thing too. But if you aerate it, it gets it working more, so the microbes are more active in that.
Yeah. Now, what if you were wanting to go right from just the bucket, like leachate from the bucket, to top watering it into your pot? Would you mix it at same ratio, you think?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the 1 ounce to 1 gallon of water, and mix that in. It comes, I think it's like 1 to 1,000. Yeah, as far as the ratio.
Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
that's typically what I would do too with the leachate.
Yeah.
You can also pour it down at full strength, pour it down your sinks and your toilets. And what it does, it really helps with the buildup in your sinks and the smells and that. It breaks them down, the organic matter that's in your pipes. So
Hmm.
there's no waste to it whatsoever. If you don't need it for your plants, you can use it for your pipes, and it works fantastic.
Yeah, acts like a organic Drano.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
Right.
Beautiful.
It almost sounds like you weren't really familiar with the Bokashi Pro Grow fermented fertilizer. Am I
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, I
Okay.
just used the plus.
Excellent.
I got the bag down here.
Awesome. Yeah. No, that's great. So yeah, so the fact that you're using that for your soil, I mean, you're already on top of it, but the Pro Grow, like it adds uh, more B vitamins, more minerals, the amino acids. And the amino acids are derived from uh, hemp seed, so
Okay.
it's got an amazing, you know, different types of amino acids, right? Great spectrum of them. Like I said, in the organic whole food complex that we put in there, it all gets broken down and it's out through the fermentation, so that adds to it as well. And it comes out at the NPK is it's with a 2.57, 2.5, and 1.7. So it's listed as a standalone organic fertilizer, which we actually have registered with the CFIA. So it can be used on large scale productions for food and that type of thing as well, which is a great thing for us. So they're available as a standalone organic fertilizer. We like it as a soil amendment. So if you're using other organic inputs, you can add this with it. You don't have to worry about burning. Typically, as a standalone organic fertilizer, it'd be like 3 cups per 10 gallons of your soil mix. As an amendment, it'd be cut it down to half, so 1.5 cups per 10 gallons of soil, whether it's peat, cocoa, or the potting soil, super soil. And it works really well for breaking all your other inputs. which means that you can actually use less of the other inputs. Uh, so you're saving yourself some money on that, and breaks it down and makes it more available to your plant symbiotically. All right.
Yeah.
So there's two great pluses there. Um, we love it as a top dressing, like you use it. You know, your plants need a little bit of love. Very easy to just take a small handful and scratch it in and water it in. And probably one of our customers' favorite ideas, the tea, the aerated tea.
Hmm.
Right? You take that, say 1 cup for 5 gallons of water, throw a aerator bubbler in there for 24 hours, and you've got this amazing aerated tea. Used as a soil soak for foliar feed.
Yeah, yeah, it's I definitely add some in when I do my compost teas as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. What's the ratio between or for just the regular plus? What kind of how much do you want to add into your soil for an amendment for that?
Yeah, it basically works the same way, right? So uh, as an amendment, 1.5 cups per 10 gallons. It's sufficient, right?
Okay.
It actually works. It has an NPK of its own as well, so it has fertilizer capabilities to it as well.
Nice. Yeah, that's kind of why I think I got into it was to help um, speed up the process a bit faster. To help my dry amendments, I use Gaia Green dry amendments, and there's minerals and stuff in there that take weeks and weeks to break down. So hopefully, by adding this bokashi, I was able to help break down those a little faster to be able to get the plant, the certain type of medicinal plant that I grow. It's a very
Mhm.
fast growing, very hungry plant. So I want
Absolutely.
nutrients as fast as possible. That's kind of why I started using it. So
Mhm. No, and that's perfect. That's exactly what you want to use it for. And between you and me, I love the Gaia Green dry products as well. So to give you and your listeners a kind of a recipe that I like to use for Gaia Green, I use the all-purpose. So
yeah.
I keep it very simple with the Gaia Green all-purpose. That's your 444. Uh, Typically, what the recipe calls for is say 6 cups of Gaia Green per 20 gallons of soil. Uh, Whereas when you add the Bokashi or the Bokashi Pro Grow, I recommend the Pro Grow when you're using it with the Gaia Green, when you're cutting it down half if you for your medicine, because it
Mhm.
makes sure that got everything into it. Is so it's instead of 6 cups per uh, 20 gallons, you're bringing it down to 3 cups of Gaia Green all purpose 20 gallons, and then you're adding 3 cups of Bokashi Pro Grow 20 gallons. You mix that in, and like I say, you don't even have to worry about the cooking time. That you can literally, plant or transplant within the soil as soon as you make it. You're not worrying about the burning. And the Bokashi and the Pro Grow basically works within hours. Once it's activated to start the process and allows, and like I say, it breaks down your other inputs a lot quicker and makes them more viable and usable as well. So uh, there's really no lag time when especially with transplanting and that type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a massive benefit for your soil for sure. I'll have to try that recipe. Cut my expenses back a bit with the Gaia Green. I mean, I use 10 kg bags. I buy 10 kg bags, and they're about $80 a bag. So it gets pricey every once in a while. So I'll have to
Yeah,
try that.
and the great thing is I reuse my soil as well,
Yeah,
and
me too.
that's the beautiful thing about it is it really cuts down on the cost of your soil. Before, when I was growing with synthetic or nutrients and that, a lot of times your soil wasn't very good at the end of that, so you had to use, full of salt and nutrients and that, so you had to get rid of it. What I found is that with the Bokashi and the organics that you can be using your soil, it almost seems like the next one crop is even better than the one before, right?
Yeah.
So I love doing outdoor greenhouse growing. So what I typically do is in 30-gallon pots, so do it in the greenhouse, and at the end of the season, uh, after harvest, I just leave the pots over, cover them up over the winter. Come springtime, I use the same soil and I'll mend them again with the Pro Grow and the Gaia Green, and it's just amazing. I think I've used the same soil for 4 years now without
Nice.
having, yeah. And
I have the same thing. I have a greenhouse out back. I've built a couple planter boxes and stuff, and all my used soil out of my pots, I just dump in the planter boxes out back. I use them for the spring, summer, fall kind of thing.
yeah, all the container gardening, yeah, same deal. It
Yeah,
looks great.
yeah, it does for sure. So with the whole bokashi fermenting, um, I've always kind of heard that it has like a no smell kind of thing. Is that because of the container being sealed, or is that because it's like an anaerobic kind of? I've always kind of heard anaerobic kind of smells, but
Yeah, and I know that anaerobic can get kind of confusing because anaerobic bacteria on themselves can create, the bad smells like vomit smells and this type of thing, right? Is probably the best example. Yeah, but you're right in twofold. The fact that it's a sealed container doesn't allow for smells to escape, but the bokashi itself works well to, like I said, outcompete the pathogens that cause those types of odors, the rotting smells. So you're just what the food waste will just become a fermented. It doesn't really change too much, in looks in that. So there's no degradation, there's no rotting, there's no decaying or anything like that. It just stays in a fermented state to the point where you can actually keep it in there for up to 6 months as long as you're draining the juice. It'll just stay in that state, pre-compost state, until you mix it into the soil, and then that starts the breakdown. Um, but yeah, so that's the real reason is the microbes out competing the pathogens that cause those odors and allows for rotting and that type of thing, right?
yeah, makes sense. Totally. Is there anything that you don't want to put in there? Yogurts. I mean, yogurts are probiotics, but is there anything?
Yeah, well, really, like I say, the only things that you don't want to put in the compost system is already previously rotting food, uh, lots of liquids and oils. I mean, a little bit isn't bad, but when you start, overwhelming the system, then the microbes can't work that well. Uh, Obviously, plastics, anything like that, anything that is non-organic, I wouldn't put in. Um, Big bones, I'll still put in bones, but don't expect them to break down a whole lot. But I like the fact because it'll break down all the goodness that is within the bones themselves, right?
Hmm.
And that's usable. So then, really, if you're looking to mix it into your already existing vegetable bed, then you probably wouldn't want to put big bones in there that won't break down. Small ones like fish bones, chicken bones, they break down really cool. And sometimes it's neat to check them out through halfway through to see how the microbes have worked to get inside the bones and clean them right out and this type of thing. It's amazing to watch nature at work there. And
Yeah,
it's tangible. You can actually see the product without having to wait a year or two to see if you're going to get usable, viable compost.
yeah, yeah, totally. Uh, are you able to take those bones and say, dry them out with like a barbecue, crush them up into smaller bits, and then add them into your system?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's really just the size of them that makes it so that it's not viable for the small composting system to get them broken down. But yeah, if you want to do the mechanical work ahead of the game, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, yep, awesome. Well, do you have anything else you'd like to talk about? Any
Uh,
future plans?
are you familiar with one of our other products that we have, Ferminator?
No, no.
Talk a little bit about my Ferminator. This
Oh,
is
okay, the
actually
plant juice.
a plant wash.
Oh, okay.
So what we've done is we've taken the same type of microbes that we use in the Kashi products, DEM. So it works really well for doing a number of things. Like I said, out competing pathogens. So we use this product for dealing with powdery mildew issues as well as pest issues. So the microbes themselves work, like I was telling you before, with against pathogens, out competing pathogens. So it does that as well on your leaf surface with things like white powdery mildew. Out competes it and will actually break them down and then can be used as a maintenance every week, every 2 weeks to keep them in a state where they won't develop the spores, the powdery mildew spores. So I'll kind of back up a little bit and tell you what is in this product. We use it's distilled water base, and then we add the beneficial microbes. But then we also add fermented. We use the microbes fermenting herbs like mint, dill, rosemary, thyme, which are natural repellents to pests. So it's great as a maintenance for spraying it on your plants to kind of repel the mites and aphids and even thrips. It takes a little more for thrips, but all those pests can be eradicated using this process. So then what we do is we take those microbes, those fermented herbs, and we add acetic acid and pure grain alcohol in small portions. So it's not an alcohol base, but the idea of adding the acetic acid and grain alcohol creates these natural esters. And so when the esters are consumed by sap-sucking pests such as mites, aphids, and thrips, it creates this intestinal intoxication. And the pests are literally dead within the matter of moments. And the beautiful thing is there's no oils, so we're not deriving the herbs through their oils and that type of thing. It's through a fermentation process. So there's literally no residues, no oils on your plant, so that it can be used right from vegging right through to harvest, and it won't affect your fruits, vegetables, flowers.
Oh, that's a game changer.
It really is, and actually we've saved a lot of the crops in the last few years. We have a tough time. I'll be straight with you as far as getting it registered in that, because it can be, we don't want to claim it as a pesticide or this type of thing as a fungicide. So we really have to just mark it as a plant wash. It is completely safe to plants, pets, people, and the planet, right? The 4 Ps. Yeah. And that's the ideal thing we're doing. So typically what you do is take 2 to 4 mils of this into a liter of water, a pump sprayer, and add maybe a drop or so of, say, Dawn dish soap or Yucca, some type of surfactant wetting agent, because of the fact that there's no oils or residues. You want it to be able to stick on the leaf for as long as possible before evaporating. And you can spray, every day, every other day, through a week, 2 weeks, if you have an infestation of pests. And it works. It really works. It takes a little bit of diligence, because you got to, the little guys like to hide very well, so it's a matter they have to ingest it. It's not a contact type killer thing, or it's not systemic through the plant. They have to ingest it. So the beautiful thing is you can hit it every day, every other day, and until your problem is resolved, and it tests out clean.
Yeah, that's a beautiful product. I use something similar, but it's all just oil, essential oils.
Right.
So I don't have to.
Which work well. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. But that adding those effective microorganisms into it, it's probably a game changer for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've had a lot of our clients that use it as a maintenance. They found that it's actually their foliage appears a lot more healthier just by adding that to it. So it's got its own benefits just as a plant wash or spray.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, so kind of just going back to what we were talking about, putting your composted, fermented composted stuff into your garden beds. You want to bury them 6, 8, 10 inches down, kind of thing. Are you kind of worried about pests like raccoons, skunks, dogs going in and digging all that stuff up?
Yeah, as far as the pest, and that's the idea of where you want to kind of dig it down into the 8 to 10 to 12 inches and mix it up. Because I should add that you really want to mix it up well with the soil that's there. We find that if it is buried like that, it doesn't attract vermin. In fact, I live basically across the street from a big forest, and we have raccoons, skunks, voles that come into our yard all the time, and it's never been an issue. We've had a dog for years that hasn't bothered digging it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a
He likes to dig, but fortunately not in our garden.
I've got a bloodhound, and her nose is
Oh,
pretty damn strong. So
well, I don't know about that. Yeah, that's
yeah, we'll have to see. I'd like
yeah.
to try it. I haven't tried it that method yet, but I'd like to try it this year. Maybe do it. I have a gate separating my front and backyard, so maybe I'll try it out in the front yard first.
Okay. Probably a tip there is don't let him smell the stuff before you bury it, because if he knows it's there, he might be more apt to go there. So yeah, don't have him around as you're burying it. Just
Yeah,
maybe a point to consider.
yeah. Good point. Good point. All right, so I guess we've kind of been coming up to about 45 minutes now. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about? Any new products you've got in the works? Um,
Yeah, actually, we don't have anything else in the works right now. We're considering our things, but we really kind of like to stick to our core of what we produce through the beneficial microbes, the EM, in that these types of products.
mhm.
Um, I thought about maybe bringing out another pro grow, maybe like a pro bloom, where I'm adding more of bloom type nutrients into
Yeah,
it,
the
more of the
PK stuff.
potassium. Exactly, right. But I don't know. I found I've done these grows right through, and it seems to, if you needs any love, you just do a little bit of top dress, add a tea to it, and it seems to work. I should add, as far as your medicine and that when you're doing your flip, is typically what I'll do is I'll add the Gaia Green Power Bloom as well at half
Mm,
the rate. Okay, and that's your extra PK that you need there, as well as top dressing with the Bokashi or the Bokashi Pro Brew as well, and that seems to work really well for that push. And
yeah,
then I'll do a tea 2 weeks in from there as well, and maybe another one if it needs it, but typically it doesn't. It seems to be quite enough for it to give it everything it needs for a good harvest.
yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, I'm finding I'm growing a lot more fruits and vegetables, and I think we're going to find that, especially with the price of produce in stores, and I can't see us really getting much of a break from it.
You know,
Crazy to buy a head of lettuce at there, anything like that. I don't think it's going to get much better. So the fact that we're able to use a composting and use our bokashi in that to bring it back in to grow our own food is, I think, is huge, and I think that's really something that's going to get more popular as time goes on. Especially, growing organic. You know that you know what you're putting in, and you know what you're getting out. You're putting in all great compost and beneficial microbes and all the inputs, and you're deriving highly nutritious fruits, vegetables, and produce from that, right? Which is a lot better than the stuff that you get out of the grocery stores. Let's face it,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I plan on having a pretty big garden this year and trying to. I got a nice big vacuum sealer, and I'm gonna try to
Oh, perfect.
do my best to preserve as much food, and so I don't have to, you know, go and pay these ridiculous prices, $8 for a head of lettuce or something stupid like that, right?
It's nice. It's nuts that it costs so much money to eat well, to be healthy, to
Yeah,
nutritious. So that's kind of the point I'm trying to make with the program, the Bokashi, and that is we want to make it as easy as possible for the regular consumer to grow his own. Because we know people are busy and that, so they want something where they can maybe mix something into their soil, their pot of soil, plant their seeds, and just water it, and know that they're gonna get a great product at the end of that.
yeah,
Great harvest at the end,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, and for the $15 I spent on that big bag, and it lasts a good amount of time and continues to work years
Right?
later, uh, it's a new no-brainer.
No,
Um,
I have to agree with you on that. I'm biased on it, but absolutely. But you know,
yeah,
well with its value for sure. Exactly. Especially the fact that it's creating a living soil that you can use time and time again, right? So
yeah, exactly. Can are you guys in the States? Can you purchase your products down there?
yeah, we're in Amazon Canada and the US, so anybody in the States can purchase our product through Amazon. We like to patronize our brick and mortar growers or stores as well. So we are in a lot of stores throughout Canada. We're distributed through Green Planet Wholesale and BioFloral Canada, two great Canadian distribution companies for plant products. And they kind of helped us get into the States, especially Green Planet Wholesale. So they have sales reps down there. So we're working away. A lot of it, it's a slow process because unlike Canada, where there's only one governing body, CFIA, for getting any product registered as a fertilizer. Down in the States, every state has their own governing body. So what we did is we started in California, Oregon, Washington, we're in Oklahoma. So we're in a number of the states, and we're slowly, trying to work our way through the lower 48.
Yeah. Yeah, and big ups for Justin over at Green Planet there. He's helping you out and getting that done.
Oh yeah, no, that was great. They're fantastic for bringing us on as a exclusive distribution and really helping push us. And we're even in the UK. They brought us in the UK because they're in distributor over there, Easy Grow UK.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for Green Planet products or the Bokashi Pro Grow, we sell the Pro Grow only over there. Easy Grow UK. So
nice.
We're slowly but surely trying to make the whole Good Green Earth, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, congratulations on your success with the company so far, and I can't wait to see it grow. No pun intended.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I appreciate you supporting us like you do. That's great. And,
yeah, you've been a massive benefit to my garden, and I won't stop using it. And you're a Canadian company too, so that's, to me, keeping it, as much as Canadian as possible. I use certain products of mine that are all Canadian. No offense to the U.S. or anything. I just it's expensive for me to bring products in from the U.S. to use, and especially organic products where we have such stringent rules and laws against different microbes and whatnot. So it kind of forces me to use a Canadian product as well. So there are certain things like Dr. Zymes that I would love to have up here, but I can't.
Great product.
So
absolutely, and you're absolutely right about Health Canada CFIA. They are very stringent. It took us probably almost 2 years to get our product certified here, whereas down in California, so I thought it would be a lot harder. It was like 6 months.
And you're gonna have to rename your entire packaging and everything with California's insane.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we have a number of different packages we have to use for the state just for that, because each state has their own laws on that.
Yeah. Well, kind of rounding it out, where can people find you? You're on Instagram. Do you have Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff?
Instagram, My Good Green Home. We're on. We have YouTube as well. We're starting to populate the YouTube channel, but you want to check it out. We have some videos on the composting systems of ProGrow, the different ways that we use it. Some of our clients on a larger scale, telling us about how it works for them as well. So the YouTube Good Green Earth Company, our website mygoodgreen.com in Canada, and goodgreenearthco.com in the States. And and 1-866-44 Bokashi if you want to talk to me and you have any questions. It goes right to my hip. So I love talking to customers, client customers, and seeing how we can support them as well.
Wicked. Well, I'll leave all the messed it up again. I'll leave all the links in the description below in the YouTube and podcast. These will be going out on my YouTube channel, Mad Hatter Organics. It will go out on my other YouTube channel, the Growers Exchange Podcast, Apple, Spotify, and I think I'm going to try to branch out and go into like Amazon and stuff like that as well.
That's excellent.
So I'll
busy fella.
It takes quite a bit of work, but
it does.
But yeah, it'll
for you.
be I'll leave all the links in the descriptions to wherever you find this. But
Excellent. I
it,
really appreciate that, your support. Yeah.
yeah, no, I appreciate having you on. It's I've learned a lot. So
Oh, excellent.
yeah,
Glad to hear that.
yeah. All right. Well, we will check you later, and have a wonderful weekend, man.
Thanks, you too. Thanks for having me again.
All
Take
right.
care now.
Take care.